Hello, beautiful people. 2025 has been an amazing year for indies, and this list proves it. While the AAA industry is struggling to keep up and eating itself alive thanks to bloated costs, price hikes, and mass layoffs, indies are going strong. But maybe this year you've been too busy to notice all the great games that came out. But don't worry, this definitive list has you covered. Some caveats though: no early access and no online-only games. Sorry, Peak. These are all full releases for you to get into and enjoy. Now, get a comfy chair, grab a meal, open Steam, and let's start wishlisting. Last Report, a horror game where you play a night shift park ranger who's asked to review camera footage from the parks. What begins as a routine monitoring of vandalism and illegal parking quickly spirals into something a bit more terrifying. Examine surveillance photos and written reports, or just ignore them if you're trying to get home fast because your idea of Netflix and chill is a deep fried chicken sandwich and a new Red Letter Media episode. Fill out incident reports and make choices that will affect the subsequent story and unlock different endings. Great pixel art and atmosphere make this little slow burn horror game the perfect late night snack for those who love going to bed distressed. 1998, The Tollkeeper Story. Choice is the most powerful tool in gaming. Whether to help out or let the bad things come to pass, it's such a difficult and nuanced question that the Tollkeeper is ready to ask you. Play as Dewey, a mother-to-be working as a tollkeeper in the fictional country of Janapa, a nation teetering on the edge of chaos. Navigate daily challenges on your shift where you need to inspect vehicles, check documents, and verify people's identities. Then decide who's allowed to pass through the border. All your decisions have consequences as you try to navigate this chaotic world while protecting yourself, your job, and unborn child. Very intense and harsh themes pepper this game, and it's not for everyone, unless you feel like involving yourself in a beautiful narrative where the choices and consequences are very real to our protagonist. 1998 The Tollkeeper Story is a game to not just play, but immerse yourself into. The Root Trees Are Dead. A mystery game that's grabbed a lot of people this year. You play a private investigator who needs to find the surviving blood relatives of the Root Tree family, who recently all died in a plane crash. So they're not answering questions. Set in 1998, you need to use the pre-millennium internet, books, newspaper articles, and photos to find out who the missing relative is. The excitement of linking together clues, finding small scraps of information, all make part of a larger puzzle, and that's what's so appealing to people. Reminds me of taking notes in her story to find the gaps in her confession. Evil Trout Inc. really took the intricacies of an investigative game and made it more digestible and incredibly compelling, even for people who don't usually dabble in this genre. Check it out, but don't watch anyone play it. Spoilers are everywhere. Demon School. This game's awesome. Full disclosure, I received the key from the devs, and I've been enjoying it a lot. Demon School is a turn-based tactics RPG from Necrosoft Games where you play as Faye, who's arrived at a secret university with one goal: hunt demons. Meet all kinds of weird characters on your journey as you take part in fights with a unique battle system where your order of movement and use of characters is vital, and once you initiate it, looks pretty cool. The graphics are amazing and vibrant. It perfectly recaptured the feel of the PS1 Persona games, and the music is a lot of fun. All the characters are hilarious and interesting to get to know, and Faye is a deranged maniac who just starts fights with random strangers, who then turn out to be demons, but still. The combat is the real star. The grid system and ability to rewind remind me more of Into the Breach than other turn-based tactics games. Also, having some characters be defensive who can't attack means every fight is a puzzle you need to solve. One of the best from the year, and I hope you add it to your collection. Promise Mascot Agency. Promise Mascot Agency from Kaizen Gameworks is a lot of things. Normal is not one of them. Become the owner of a mascot agency where mascots are not just people in costumes, but living, breathing creatures with their own wants and needs. Some perverse, menial, or just sad. Get them on the right path to do their jobs without causing too much of a catastrophe. When they're on the job, all kinds of things can go wrong, from starting an accidental fire, being swarmed by bees, or worse, being late. Luckily, you have support cards to help out in these situations. You collect them by befriending people of the town and getting their support for your business. Give back to the community, and they'll give back to you. The game is open world with you able to drive everywhere in town with your truck, but even just getting from point A to B is anything but ordinary. You can use nitro boosts, glide with wings, and even launch your own mascot as a missile. Lots of weird elements here, but how could you expect anything less from the developers of Paradise Killer? People really seem to love this game and are embracing the strange. Haste, Broken Worlds. A gorgeous fast-paced runner from Landfall Games, where you try to get through the levels before they fall apart around you. This is just a metaphor for my workday. The speed is breakneck as you master running, jumping, sliding, and using your hoverboard to reach the end without dying to the many obstacles in your way. Pitfalls, lasers, and bullets can easily end your run, and will make it more complicated to reach the end. This isn't just a game for speedrunners, but people who enjoy exhilarating gameplay and hours of fast-paced running that makes the blue hedgehog look lethargic. This game has been overshadowed by Landfall's much bigger hit this year, Peak, but you shouldn't rest on this title. It should be in every gamer's collection, because like most of their games, it's just fun. So put a fan next to your face and go for a run, in haste. Silly Polly Beast. By solo developer Andrei Chernyshov, it's an action horror game where you play the perpetually unlucky Polly, who just escaped a nightmarish orphanage, only to find herself trapped in the underworld. You know, it's like trying to leave a social event and finding yourself pulled into a conversation about why crypto is free money. Someone please save me. A unique horror game with Metroidvania elements where you'll use your skateboard in conjunction with guns to take on monsters of the underworld. Use twin-stick controls for combat as you move, dodge, and aim to take down nightmarish creatures. You'll unlock new abilities as you progress, thanks to making a pact with a shadowy figure in the underworld. These will help you traverse the world and can also be used in combat to help gain advantage, and you'll need it. There's a demo to try out if you're still on the fence. It's such a great little slice of a unique game. Think Parasite Evil mixed with Silent Hill and Osho. A really interesting combination that does not disappoint, and one of the most disturbing releases of the year. Dice Gambit. A turn-based roguelike from Chromatic Inc., where a family of inquisitors have found themselves in a lot of debt. Luckily, business is good with the city being infested by monsters. So start hitting the streets and taking care of them. Create your family, give them their distinct look, skills, and make sure your lineage continues. It's all about those long-term investments, like my child's book taught me. Marry partners with the right skills and create new heirs that inherit their best traits. It's very Rogue Legacy or Dragon's Valor on PS1 if you remember that. It's pretty good. Combat is dice-based. Roll them to use the abilities they hold, or combine them to unleash more powerful skills. Combat is stylish, vibrant, with an art style that really pops out and a lot of fun. For strategy fans who want something visually a little different, but still fast-paced and fun. Dawnfolk. Created by solo developer Darren Keller, Dawnfolk is a minimalist survival city builder. Great pixel visuals and the unique element of simplifying more robust systems from other management games and making it a bit more bite-sized is genius, because who has time to run a vast empire these days? But a tiny one, I could spend half an hour on that. Rebuild your realm to protect your people from oppressive shadows as you explore uncharted lands, gather resources, build more housing, and feed your same people. Thanks to its simplified gameplay, everyone can just jump in. Instead of spending hours restarting runs to get that perfect start that allows you to actually progress instead of being overrun, here you manage your tiles until the shadows attack, then enjoy some small mini-games in order to defend your kingdom. A game you can sit back and spend a few minutes on in a day is a great way to unwind, and Dawnfolk is a lot of fun. It will make you feel accomplished for making your mini-kingdom thrive in just 30 minutes. Morta. Another release from the amazing Scumhead. A non-linear FPS where you explore 5 strange and otherworldly dimensions that are all visually different and have their own unique atmosphere filled with an enormous cast of bizarre creatures that need to be taken care of. The old meet the interesting and stimulating creatures of an ancient culture, and then kill them. While enjoying the amazing vistas and sights, you also acquire a huge roster of weapons, each upgradable to fit your own playstyle. But if all else fails, whip out a sword and start swinging. Just play with your doll out in public. Scumhead's previous games have all had incredible atmospheres and memorable worlds, but somehow Morta has topped all of those previous efforts, and stands out as a release in 2025. Also check out Shrine 1 and 2. They're completely free on Steam, and really good. Total Chaos. This might be the best survival horror of 2025, and there's been some stiff competition. From Trigger Happy Interactive, Total Chaos finds you stranded on Fort Oasis. a deserted, decaying place that's not meant for the living. Wrecked on the island, you need to delve deeper in order to escape. But be careful, because this is a horror game, and the things on the island don't like you being around. They're a bit acerbic. A true survival horror where you scavenge supplies and craft makeshift weapons to defend yourself against multiple creatures that stalk the halls of this horrible place. Originally a Doom Total Conversion mod that's been fully developed into a game, and they did not skimp on the graphics. This is an incredible upgrade of a beloved mod. Total Chaos might be difficult, but it will stay with you after every play session. Face Miner. You know all those NordVPN ads you're forced to sit through? Well, now you get to play the people they purport to protect you from. Neat. Face Miner from Wristwork, a name we men are all too familiar with. Ha! High five. Ow. Sorry about that. Face Miner is a clicker game set against the backdrop of a pre-Y2K digital age. You're tasked with harvesting data for your company, selling it, and then upgrading their systems to harvest even more. The need for data can never be sated. Climb the corporate ladder, make the planet and internet a much worse place, and then go gossip about your coworkers behind their back. You know, Janet just had a baby, and you can tell she's struggling to lose that excess weight. Those cookies she brought in aren't going to help much. And that's just Tuesday. A fun little clicker game with an intriguing premise and a kicking soundtrack to listen to while managing. Check it out. Stray Children, a JRPG from the creators of cult classic Moon, Tulip, and Rule of Rose. Although that last one might be stretching the term classic. A bittersweet fairy tale adventure taking place in a world where adults have started attacking children without provocation. You play an unnamed boy who finds himself transported there and needs to find a way home or be eaten. You'll eventually come face to face with these horrible and disfigured adults and be forced to take part in turn-based battles against the Olders, where you can either fight or use your words as a weapon. When attacking, you hit prompts at the right moment, and if you succeed, you can combo together attacks to deal more damage. But you can also talk things out if you think that's the better course of action. This turns battles into logic puzzles. But don't think enemies will just sit and listen. When they attack, the game turns into a bullet hell, and your fingers will be twitching to avoid their attacks. The visuals are gorgeous, and the atmosphere is oppressive with a twinge of hope. It will get under your skin. Take a chance if you want to play something different and memorable. Wonder Stars, an RPG all about words and their meaning. Book lovers and pedantics unite. Collect over 200 words to combine and create new attacks with. There's almost a near infinite number of attacks to create, and the more you expand your vocabulary, the more strategies you can play around with. Use modifier or elemental words to improve your actions, and turn a normal kick into a super fire kick. Being a Kai master, your journey isn't just about power, but also honor and friendship. Befriend opponents after battles and receive pep-ups from them that you can equip to give special bonuses in combat and improve your chances of taking down more opponents. The game takes a lot of inspiration from 90s anime with its red-haired protagonist Ringo, who's on a journey to find her brother and seek out the pieces of the Wonder Star map. The game plays out across 10 episodes that each last about 60 to 90 minutes, and turned this into a playable anime. The developer's Paper Castle Games' previous game, Under Hero, was an interesting RPG, so here we have something that's different, but very fun to play. Viscera Fest. Probably the game I enjoyed the most this year. Viscera Fest gives the boomer shooter genre a much needed shot in the arm. You're Caroline, a foul-mouthed bounty hunter who needs cash to get a ring for her soon-to-be fiancé. And the only way to get paid is by getting a little dirty. Viscera Fest is an incredibly smooth and fast-paced game where you'll be bunny hopping in no time, thanks to simplified controls and very fun gameplay. Ammo management is key. This isn't Doom. You need to cycle between weapons and alternate punching to survive the enemy onslaught. Killing enemies replenishes your health, and you need to be not just aggressive, but accurate and use the proper weapons to do damage without wasting your ammo. It's rare that a game will have me smiling ear to ear the whole playthrough, but Viscera Fest had me fist punch the air a few times after a hard fight. The music is also incredible, and will have you bopping along much like Caroline on a level. I do believe this game deserves more love, and 100% will be brought up more in the coming years when we talk about boomer shooters. It's a genuine classic in my book. Twilight Epoch. This one's just for me. A weird FPS RPG where your party is your weapon, and combat is fast-paced, but requires a lot of skill and resource management. Swashbuckle and parry with dual cutlasses, rocket jump with a mecha arm cannon, battle as a knight in explosive armor, or just throw big rocks at people. You can also find loot to equip and upgrade your characters. There are about 100 weapons to play around with across 6 characters, so you can pick how you play. I personally love the close-up slashing that comes with Wolverine claws. Developer Chimp has created an interesting sci-fi fantasy world that takes from the themes of pulp novels to explore a galaxy that is as vast as it is terrifying. I love the aesthetic, a weird retro poly mix with large open areas and interesting 2D sprites for the enemies. A game no one seems to even know exists, but worth taking a look at least. Some banging tunes attached to it as well. Mudborn, Frog Management. A management game with some frog gene manipulation. That's never turned out poorly for anyone. Oh no. Rebuild your pond by discovering or creating new species of frogs to help around, solve puzzles, and find the elements needed to fix the pond. You also have to fix the dreaming, which is another dimension that only frogs have access to. Hop between these two different worlds to progress further, and fill out your journal to help map the world. But when things get a bit repetitive, why not do some old-fashioned fishing to catch delicious bugs? Mudborn's great. I love the charming pixel art and laid-back approach of the game, while also adding in an unexpected layer of genetic manipulation. It's become something of a hit in the year full of cozy little games, thanks to its unique atmosphere and setting. Enjoy a nice peaceful game about treading where frogkind was never meant to. The Great Villainess, Strategy of Lily. A game about a streamer trying to overthrow an entire empire? I always knew VTubers would cause the next great war. The Great Villainess Lily is from Alliance Art, who makes some genuinely interesting and unique games on Steam, and this one's another banger. It's a turn-based strategy game that's not a roguelite. Thank you. Move around the map, capturing strategic points, attacking enemy troops, and most importantly, use your secret weapon, a streaming blimp. Use it to stream different types of content to help out, like stalling enemy reinforcements or inducing fear to lower morale. If none of those work, just create a video essay on how a rival general was accused of X, Y, and Z. Combat is your classic rock, paper, scissors style similar to games like Advance War, where unit selection is key. Your allies also grow stronger with you, and fielding certain pairs together will increase their trust level and have them learn new tag team skills to unleash. For strategy fans who enjoy spectacle and a vibrant art style along with a deep combat system to sink into. Doll's Nest. Customize your mecha girl and explore a ruined world. One of the many games this year that as you explore megastructure aesthetic, and Doll's Nest hits that vibe while also moving away from the idea of being a budget armored core. Go out and start shooting enemies or slash them with a variety of weapons you can pick up and equip to your frame. Take on multiple tough bosses like most Souls-like love to throw at you, and find out the secret of this giant ruined world. Dress up your doll however you want, and customize them to either be a fast mobile damage dealer, slow-moving four-legged tank, or a mix in between that dies in 2 hits. This is why you have to pick a side and stick to it. A fun and brutal experience for fans of Souls-likes and the Armored Core series of games, or people who just like putting artillery missiles on girls and watching them cook. The Bleakest Keep. A roguelite from Cache of Bones about a peaceful land that's been overtaken by the dark wizard Cormac. Take on countless horrors as the captain of the guard and save the kingdom. Use crossbows, swords, and frying pans to take on various monsters ranging from zombies, vampires, and other spooky things. All presented in beautiful low poly. If those weapons seem a little too old-fashioned, then maybe pick up a shotgun or rocket launcher to really leave an impact. You can also get help from Juliet. Let's be real, the star of this game and why most people know it, and why you've already added the game to your cart. But more than a good set of features, The Bleakest Keep is also a lot of fun, and will keep you entertained the whole way through. It's also for people who just want a game to parry skeletons. My friend, are you in for a good time? Galactic Glitch. A fun little roguelike top-down shooter from Crunchy Leaf Games. Galactic Glitch is all about murdering other ships with your gravity gun. Throw asteroids, grab missiles mid-air, mid-space, and throw them back at other ships. If all that fails, then just shoot them. Nothing beats old reliable. You fight enemies in small arenas and can use the edges of the amorphous barriers to bounce projectiles around and get a trick shot to bypass some armor or send our own bullets back at them. This game might be a pacifist's dream. A roguelite all about having fun fighting enemies in space, building incredibly wacky synergies for your ship, and exploring the far reaches of the universe. Check it out. Back to the Dawn. A prison escape RPG where you unfortunately don't have the layout tattooed all over your body. Play as either Bob the undercover agent or Thomas, a reporter caught in a very bad situation. Like you just ask someone to hand you a cup behind them and your hands touch accidentally. Although I guess that's more awkward than bad. You should have been there. Manage your days to either work out, earn money, gather intel, or build alliances. But every action consumes time and stamina. Navigate the inner workings of the prison environment, join gangs, do quests for them, upgrade stats to unlock more dialogue options, and find other paths to take in order to escape. Eventually you'll reach one of the several possible endings, or fail and start over with your current stats in New Game Plus. Reminds me of Dead Rising. Coming to us from Metalhead Games, this came out of early access this year and is packed with content for fans of in-depth RPGs that have interesting stories to tell. The Drifter, a fast-paced point-and-click with really dark and beautiful pixel art style. You play a drifter who's just been murdered and has gone back in time just before his death. But that doesn't mean he's safe, as the ones who took him out are now in pursuit and part of a much larger and scary conspiracy. The game moves past difficult point-and-click logic puzzles and instead focuses on a faster pace as it plays out in real time and requires you to think quickly on your feet to survive. You'll find yourself propelled through the world from one situation to another. One minute you're crafting a Molotov cocktail, and the next swinging from a high-rise window. The action never stops if we get a game that's more close to the pacing of Mad Max Fury Road than something like Vertigo. It's great. It's a great and interesting evolution of the genre from Powerhoof and Dave Lloyd. And a title for fans who want something different, or people who've always been hesitant to try out a point-and-click. One of the best from the year, check it out. Also has controller support for couch fiends like me. Repose, from Bozo Attila Berthold. I hope I said that right. Repose is an interesting horror game that plays like turn-based dungeon crawlers from the 90s, but with a very stark monochromatic pixel style that oozes atmosphere, and will cause the skin on your neck to raise ever so slightly. It's your first day on the job, and you've been tasked to recover damaged oxygen tanks in the facility. But your every step and action need to be considered because your limited energy is being drained, and you're also not alone down there. Explore a confusing labyrinth filled with wandering creatures that can be dealt with by your axe or gun. But it's better to avoid them to keep your energy stockpile up, instead of draining it to smash in some eldritch horror's face. Repose is a short narrative horror game that should keep you occupied for a night, and make you wish for more when it's over, which honestly is a good problem for a game to have. Asylum. A long-awaited horror finally releases and has delivered on its promises. From the developers of the cult classic Scratches, this was announced by Senscape all the way back in 2010, and 15 years later we finally have our hands on it. Asylum is a first-person point-and-click horror where you explore the Hanwell Mental Institute as an ex-patient who's trying to shed some light on the bizarre visions they've been suffering from lately. Taking a lot of inspiration from the fantastic films of Hammer and Italian 80s horror films, the game has an engrossing atmosphere that reminds me of films like City of the Living Dead or The Beyond. The story is filled with twists and turns as you'll find other people hanging around to talk to and discover clues as to what happened here and if it's really over. Though I wouldn't trust anyone who hangs around a mental asylum, unless it's Juliet. She knows what's fun. Poring over every nook and cranny of the Institute will yield lots of rewards for people who pay attention, as you try to solve some of the more brain-scratching hard puzzles. It's rare to see such an old style of point-and-click adventure game with so much tension and eerie atmosphere not fall on its face. But Asylum delivers. Astral Throne, a roguelite strategy RPG from Zero Sun Games. If you're a fan of the Fire Emblem games, then this will be right up your alley. Enjoy a pocket-sized SRPG campaign where you grow your army and level up your people, giving them new weapons and armor in order to make them stronger. The game's quite gorgeous with a mix of pixel and 3D models being a real standout. It reminds me of those pseudo 3D Nintendo DS games. I kind of wish more indies would bring back that style. I love the crunch. The gameplay loop is the perfect mix of procedural and designed combat encounters that present the perfect challenge for the player. Explore a large overworld that you can explore however you want, and the story is impacted by which heroes you recruit to your team, meaning every run is replayable to add more details to the story and flush out this world. For fans of tactics RPGs to really sink their teeth into, and there's a sequel announced for next year, but it kinda dropped those amazing Nintendo DS visuals that sold me on this title. AI Limit. You know the story, world's ruined, people are sad, you're a sexy robot who fights evil monsters and scary bosses. So be a sexy robot and save the world. As a sexy robot. How many times can I say sexy robot and I'm done? It's clear where AI Limit's inspirations come from, but who cares if the game plays well? From Sense Games, You're a blader, the ultimate life form created to protect humans in a world that's collapsed. As a Souls-like, AI Limit hits all the notes you need. A wide variety of weapons to mix and match, skills to unlock, a big world to explore, enemies that are both terrifying and very cool, and even spells. I don't know how robots have a mana pool, but I'll allow it. AI Limit hits all the right spots as it nails the action, while also giving a good variety of weapons, abilities, and just general kick-assness in this short but sweet experience. Souls-like fans can rejoice as they can add another game to their library that hopefully doesn't just stay in their backlog as they replay Elden Ring for the... checks notes? third time. What? It's a very long game. AI Limit. Check it out. Sexy robot. Okay, I'm done. Fly Knight. The first game I bought this year, and I love it. A first-person dungeon crawler where you're the Fly Knight, and it's up to you to go kill the evil Luna Moth, and lift the curse that prevents bugs from growing wings again. It's fantastic. At first glance, it seems incredibly slow and tedious, but once you get to grips with the stamina system and start finding new weapons and magic, it becomes impossible to put down. The game takes the best elements of the Souls series, but makes it a slower and more methodical experience, as every new weapon is a learning experience where you need to get used to the weight and power of each piece of gear. Exploration is not just its own reward, as you find new pieces of armor, maces, hammers, katanas, and even some difficult mini-bosses. And if things get hard, and you're struggling, just go fishing to get some temporary stat boosts or healing items to help out. It also has 4-player co-op if you need a hand. I'm gonna keep my eye on Waba Boy and see what they do next because they hit it out of the park with this one. Game's fantastic and the price is very affordable, so get yourself and a friend a copy as you head down to the dungeon. Inkshade. Play with strange wooden miniatures in this turn-based tactics game where you play a board game against a strange creature in a series of locked rooms. The board game has you play as the captain who's looking for a mysterious realm called the Abyss, and he needs to conquer the continent, acquire an airship, and sail into the cursed sky. Not the greatest of goals, but man has to dream. Every time you lose in the game, you can explore the locked room to find more pieces for the board game, upgrade some of your pieces, and work out the perfect strategy to win and escape. An interesting game that shares some DNA with Inscription as you try to solve an overarching mystery while playing a board game. The atmosphere is on point and the mystery will keep you invested. The only downside is the grinding, so go get some lunch before you play. Might burn a few calories to get your crew up to snuff. Wizardom. Another boomer shooter that just came out of early access. You're a mage on a quest to stop chaos, as opposed to causing it. From Emberheart Games, Wizardom is a lovely looking little FPS where you'll find a ton of impactful weaponry and spells to take on enemies who somehow believe rushing a sorcerer is a great idea. Along with the amazing pixel art that is as crunchy as the sound design, horrendous enemies, and great level design, Wizardom has everything a retro FPS fan needs. Also, you get a gun, which means evil is about to eat some lead as this mage might be wise, but he also doesn't miss. A fun game for boomer shooter fans, and more fun than a D&D session with friends who each take 20 minutes to decide whether they should open a chest, let alone throw an explosive fireball. I'm looking at you, Daryl. Kaizen, a factory story. A puzzle automation game from Coincidence set in 1980s Japan, where you need to design, build, and optimize production lines to create products like calculators, camcorders, and arcade machines. Also little toy robots, because Japan. While you might arrive for the automation, you'll stay for the story of a young man who's moved to Japan to enjoy the executive life, only to find himself in charge of a small factory that is in desperate need of improvement. Kaizen is an incredible puzzle game from the best in the genre. Originally Zachtronics, who created the great Lost Call BBS and Opus Magnum. Kaizen will not take it easy on you as you stretch your brain trying to find the perfect layout in the factory for automation in order to get everything running at 110%. Please, don't correct me. While not for everyone, there's a group of fans who live for every second of this, and just talking about it makes my head hurt. Sultan's Game. A turn-based resource management game where you're advising the Sultan on all his machinations. Sultan's Game from Double Cross as you draw a card every week and are then asked of completing the task it gives you before 7 days are up, or your head will no longer be attached. You have a set of resource cards to use, but your decisions have consequences. You need to choose who you benefit and who you send to their deaths instead. Your continued survival hinges on every decision you make, so make sure to not piss off the wrong people. It's an intricate but easy to understand system that just feels intuitive once you start playing. The art style is also gorgeous, a beautiful mix of highlighted colors and muted designs to help emphasize certain features and make every card and environment pop out. Every decision feels more impactful because of the art design. A fun, open-ended strategic experience, and one that will have you bite your nails as you hinge your head on that one decision that might pay off or just end your run. Whisper of the House. A game all about organizing spaces and making things more presentable and aesthetic. You're a helper in town who's there to assist the townspeople with every task from moving, cleaning, and organizing their cluttered spaces. You're transforming not only their homes, but also their lives by making their spaces warmer and more pleasurable to live in. Because isn't that what we all need as people? While the term cozy game has been overused this year, this is really just a slow, contemplative experience where through the action of fixing the lives of people around you, you learn to see the beauty in everyday life and the benefit of slowing down and taking a day at its own pace. Grab a tea, sit back, and relax with this beautiful little gem. You deserve it. House of Necrosis. A turn-based horror RPG that takes a lot of influence from the original PlayStation Resident Evil titles and mystery dungeon crawlers like Shiren the Wanderer or the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. Explore the mansion, pick up weapons, items, and fight off various horrors that might look less dangerous low poly, but can really ruin your day. Dungeon crawlers like this are pretty difficult and require lots of trial and error, which will be a turn-off for a few people. Luckily, the more monsters you kill, the stronger your weapons become along with yourself, and if your gun fails, why not cast some spells? Clearly the developer has run a little fast and loose with the inspiration for the title, but RE1 would have gone very differently if Jill had access to Faraga. The very early PSX-styled graphics and soundtrack make the game feel surprisingly cozy, and it's a fun time for RPG fans to delve into. An interesting take on survival horror that will leave you terrified of dying again, so maybe save beforehand. Check it out. Ender Magnolia. We all know Silksong overshadowed every Metroidvania that came out this year, but the sequel to Ender Lilies continues the great gameplay set up by the previous title, and that was a pretty high bar to maintain. Explore the beautiful land of Fumes, a once prosperous realm now consumed by corruption and despair, where you uncover secrets and piece together the fate of the humans and homunculi of this world. Combat is similar to the previous. Equip homunculi and summon them JoJo style for various attacks, from melee, range shots, and even some area of effect. As usual, the bosses are a standout in Metroidvanias. Expect some giant monsters that will test your skills and make you question your aging reflexes. Few games combine beauty and savagery like the Ender series. I love the previous game, and to see a sequel improve so much while keeping the soul of it alive does me good. Crescent Tower. An 8-bit style dungeon crawler with a little bite, thanks to its difficulty and highly strategic turn-based battles. Create a character from a group of 3 different races, and then choose one of 9 jobs to start with. As you level up, you can change classes and transfer skills from the previous mastered class, much like some of the Final Fantasy games, most notably 5 and the Masterful Tactics. You're one of the many people who take on the Crescent Tower, a giant structure that appears every 50 years and promises incredible treasures on its top floor, but no one really knows what's held up there. So you, along with many other adventurers, want to reach the top and be the first to find out. Meet a host of companions along the way as you explore the dungeon, but remember to map it out every now and again, or you might get lost. The thing about some of these retro games is just how much they give off great vibes, and Crescent Tower has charming graphics and music that really suck you in. A game that will scratch that itch for old school RPG fans and newer masochists that enjoy stat crunching and fun turn-based battles. Deep Sleep, Labyrinth of the Forsaken. From Script Welder, Deep Sleep is the 4th game in a very small niche series that is also one of my favorites of the year. Explore the dream world as Amy, whose brother just recently passed away, but visiting his apartment you find a device that allows you to travel the dream realm and reveals a mystery surrounding his death. A point and click with some light RPG and roguelite elements make Labyrinth of the Forsaken a very unique experience. Dive into dreams and find all kinds of interesting characters to meet and help out. Explore a bunch of unique levels from a hotel, pyramid, casino, and a creepy forest. There are a bunch of puzzles to solve, but nothing that will completely roadblock you. Combat involves using the items you find in levels that each have multiple effects, from a crowbar causing slow or a knife that causes enemies to bleed. It's a lot of fun once you understand the mechanics. Along with the gameplay, the music is incredibly immersive, and the pixel graphics make the world feel both terrifying and soothingly nostalgic in some places. I love this game, and would love it if everyone tried it out as well. It's gotten a ton of quality of life updates since release that have only made the experience even better. Also, Tutu is best girl, except no substitutes. Cataclysmo. Cataclysmo left early access swinging, not scared of hitting anyone. From Digital Sun, the developers of Moonlighter, a tower defense where you only have one very modular stronghold that you have to build by your own hands, is something a bit different. Reminds me of the Stronghold series, but with a lot more freedom. The game allows you to build just about anything as long as it's able to stand up straight. Build your castle piece by piece, strategically placing walls, gates, and place your defenses to withstand assaults at nights. During the day, you can leave the stronghold to explore and find supplies to help you build further. The game allows you to use save designs in case you don't feel like using your critical thinking skills. The great loop of exploring at day, then building a castle to defend at night, makes this game a fun experience to get lost into. A strategy lover's dream, and worth giving it a look. The Stone of Madness. We somehow entered a golden age of character strategy games, and no one noticed. Or even cared. Stone of Madness is another title from the Game Kitchen, the same devs that made the Blasphemous series. And this game shares that bleak outlook on life and amazing art style. 5 people are trapped in a monastery turned madhouse, and you need to utilize all their skills to escape. But it's easier said than done, as each character has their own phobias you need to consider. You have to keep their sanity in check, or it'll trigger a traumatic event that changes how they play, and can make completing tasks much more difficult. The dark hand-drawn art style and terrible setting might put a lot of people off from playing this, but if you're a fan of character-based strategy stealth games, then Stone of Madness, with its great open-ended missions, interesting story and setting, will be a real standout in your game collection. Best Served Cold. Tend a bar, chat up patrons, and solve a murder. Classic Friday night. Best Served Cold is a visual narrative investigation game from Rogueside, where you run the last speakeasy in alternate history Europe, while also sidelining as a detective. Every patron has a story to tell, and listening will help you find clues to lead you closer to solving one of the 5 cases in the game. The moody atmosphere of the speakeasy brings the world to life as you can smell the cigarette smoke and strong whiskey, while the hand-drawn art and character designs evoke the roaring 20s. Enjoy talking to a wide variety of characters that occupy the world, each of their own wants, fears, and favorite drink. Learn some new drink combinations to make them happy, and when you stop playing, you can serve your friends. Just don't jump behind the counter at your local bar to mix drinks. They hate that. Talking from experience. Best Served Cold has a lot in common with Coffee Talk, but instead of serving a warm cup of espresso, you serve a cold cup of facts and beer. Dead Take. FMV games are back! Well, they kinda never left, to be honest, but Dead Take is the one we're talking about. Unless you're one of those people who want to play those Asian titles that have a bunch of women fighting each other wanting to kiss you. What is this, my search history? Dead Take from Surgen Studios is a horror game where you explore a Hollywood mansion, looking for your missing friend. Kind of like Seven Guests, minus the cake puzzle. I hated that puzzle. Explore the vast mansion as you piece together its dark history and try to find your friend. An immersive and chilling experience that's not about throwing scares at you, but instead about easing you in and making you feel uncomfortable over time. As you explore, you'll need to keep your eyes open to progress, as the roadblocks are solved by naturally paying attention to the environments and the FMV cutscenes that play when story beats are delivered. Enjoy having Asterion himself, Neil Neilborn, talk to you if you need another reason to try this out. I'm sure, given enough time, you'll find a way to fit it into Baldur's Gate 3 canon. Labyrinth of the Demon King. I finished this, and I'm a big fan. Check my longer video for more info on it if you want more details. Avenge your lord in feudal Japan by tracking down the Demon King and cutting off his head. By solo developer J.R. Hudapol, Labyrinth of the Demon King is a first-person horror dungeon crawler that takes inspiration from the Resident Evil, Onimusha, and Kingsfield games. It has a dirty low-poly aesthetic that's right up my alley and is a slow, ominous trek through a horrible maze of corridors filled with monsters too disgusting to explain, but also enjoyable to decapitate or smash apart. Combat is fun, if a little hard to get to grips with at the start, but where the game really shines is with its atmosphere. This is another game that has the benefit of receiving a ton of updates over time, making the combat smoother, and adding an entire New Game Plus that has a lot more content and new weapons. If you're looking for something to keep you on edge and enjoy feeling constant dread, then I recommend giving Labyrinth of the Demon King a go. Also, get some matcha tea to have with it. Trust me, it makes sense once you play the game. No Skin. From No Eye Soft. No skin, no eye. What do you actually have? No Skin is a horror roguelike where the world makes little sense, and that's how the game likes it. Explore a mansion where you'll meet strange characters, battle even stranger monsters, and just ask yourself, what's happening? No Skin reminds me of a smaller scale world of horror, but even weirder. Expect to encounter plenty of strange scenarios that might either benefit you or make everything much worse for your run. I love the pixel art style, even if some of the designs are a bit off-putting, to say the least. It does leave an impact on the player though, but it does leave an impact on the player. Weird games like this can be either hit or miss depending on the vibes and gameplay, and since it's done pretty well on Steam, it means it's resonated with quite a few people. Maybe you could be one of them too. Please, join us in this joy. Spooky. Metal Garden. Hauntingly beautiful, and with some fun gunplay to boot. Metal Garden is an atmospheric FPS that left me wanting more when the credits rolled. I love talking about how indie games are great at giving a perfect short experience, and Metal Garden is just that. Explore a giant megastructure where you'll find logs detailing the lore of this game, or listening to the gears that run it move and smash against each other. It's a game that feels incredibly large in scope, but also tight and refined in execution. I loved it, and I hope you go try it out. Oh yeah, the gunplay is fun too. Give strong love to Halo and Half-Life 2. Wonderful stuff. Get used to jumping around with the shotgun and making enemies ragdoll. Oh, how I've missed seeing ragdoll animations. I'm going to keep my eye on Tenerasoft, and I'm very interested to see what they do next. Keep Driving. A cozy little atmospheric roguelite RPG about traveling on the open road. Pick up hitchhikers, runaways, become a drug mule, or just head to a festival with some friends, and use the supply you were asked to deliver, without any consequences. Keep Driving is all about choice. Every fork in the road leads to another story for you to experience, and all you have to do is sit back and enjoy it. The atmosphere is peak early 2000s. I can smell the vintage cars, CDs, and stale cigarette smoke of my grandma's couch. It's a game all about replayability as you find yourself constantly experiencing new outcomes to decisions and seeing how far you can stretch a situation. Just remember to always keep room in the back. You never know who you'll meet on the road. For a lift, I don't mean you're going to kill someone and then put them in the back. That's a bit too far. There's always room in the back. Old Skies. Another great title from Wadjet Eye Games, which if you haven't heard the name, they've created some amazing adventure games over the years. I highly recommend Unavowed. It is some of the best world building in any game out there. Old Skies is another in their long line of adventure titles. Travel through time as Fia Quinn, a time agent who takes travelers through time as they sightsee the past. It's up to you to make sure they're happy, but also keep to the rules in order to not upset the flow of time. Have you ever had to explain to a client that it's impossible to do a thing they're 100% convinced you can do? It's that, but you can completely annihilate the course of history. The game is visually fantastic, fully voice acted, and boasts a wonderful score like their previous titles. If you love adventure games, then this is for you. Cruel. There's been a recent surge of a new genre of shooter that I call corridor racer. Games like Mullet Mad Jack, Angerfoot, and Post Void fall into that genre, and Cruel is another great entry. Run through the level, taking out enemies quickly before they get a shot off, as speed is the key here since the level is burning up behind you and you need to reach the end before the fire catches up. Kick, slide, and shoot to make sure no one and nothing stands in your way, because that fire is chasing you like you owe it CSGO skins. You can find cans that give health boosts and other upgrades that can help you reach the end faster, or just help you clean out an entire room. While running like your life is on the line, you can enjoy a pulse-pounding OST that will let your blood flow faster to help increase those reflexes. I think that's how it works. A fun time that'll test your shooting skills and make you realize it's not just a name, but also a descriptor. Windswept. Marbles and checkers are a wonderful duo that are trying to get home. From Weatherfall, Windswept is a very difficult but fun buddy platformer that will charm you with its lovely pixel visuals, and then break you. The game lets you swap between both characters that each have their own set of moves and combination skills. That means you're stacked with choices on how to approach a level. Nothing gets unlocked, it's all there from level 1, and it's up to you to learn the moves and get better. There are 40 stages to tackle, and each have hidden collectibles and bonus challenges to take on, if you enjoy screaming at your screen for failing a jump the 50th time. Challenging platformers are for a very specific type of gamer, and if you played enough of Celeste, then maybe try taking on Windswept. Verho, Curse of Faces. An RPG in the tradition of the Kingsfield series, where the Curse of Faces has taken over the world, and everyone wears a mask as protection, or they'll just die on the spot as soon as they reveal their face. Pick your class and go forth. Explore various locations from abandoned ruins, a dark forest, dangerous mountain, and even a poisonous swamp. Because if you're homaging a From Software game, you have to put down a poisonous swamp somewhere to ruin people's day. Expect some difficult and powerful boss battles, a plethora of spells to learn, and a ton of items to collect in order to just survive. It's a fantastic experience that, without spoiling too much, is a great King's Field-like with an almost unrivaled atmosphere, fun combat, and a world that refreshes enough to never get stale. I made a video about it, talking in more detail, but in short, the more time I spend with it, the more I enjoy it. There's a demo out that's packed with content, and if you decide to try it, the save data will transfer to the full game. Give it a go, and if you enjoy the game, also try Lunacid Tears of the Moon if you want to play a free King's Field-like. That's just a little bonus for everyone. Abiotic Factor. Survival crafting is a genre of game I tend to stay away from. I got my fix with Forest and Forest 2, I really don't need any more. But Abiotic Factor is incredibly special. Coming to us from the folks who brought us the underrated gem Unfortunate Spacemen, a seriously good 4-player FPS. Go check it out. This is basically survival Half-Life and the closest we're getting to Half-Life 3. There, I said it, my thoughts are out. But what makes it so compelling is the level of humor mixed with a really in-depth crafting and leveling system, along with fantastic world design and enemy variety. Stocking up on supplies, you'll explore the giant underground facility to scavenge more materials, weapons, and recipes to make progress. The constant flow of leaving safety and trying to get back before dying is such a fun loop, and the game never rushes you, so play at your own pace, or ask some friends to join if you need help. The Half-Life 1 styled visuals really tickle my nostalgia boat, but the game doesn't just fall back on nostalgia. Instead, Abiotic Factor is a fun time. Go enjoy this strange world while crafting the perfect scientists. Go create your own Gordon Freeman. Karma, the Dark World. Taking place in 1984, oh, so we aren't even keeping it subtle. You play a roam agent that uses government-sanctioned technology to solve crimes, and that involves invading people's minds to get to the truth. But sometimes the old-fashioned method of interrogation will help you find some clues the subject might be hiding, even from mental probes. The developers really did some hard work on these visuals. They look amazing, suitably dark and oppressive. Personally, I'm not a fan of Unreal Engine 5 games. The uncanny valley effect of the visuals just take me out of it, but Pollard Studio plays around with reality and karma, so it allows them to utilize that to great effect, and create a world that feels oppressive and oddly dreamlike. If you enjoy a dark story that tackles some hard themes and interesting storytelling techniques, then consider giving Karma the Dark World a look. Stories from Seoul, the Gun Dog. Coming from Space Colony Studios, we have an adventure game that takes a lot of inspiration from PC-98 visual novels. Get ready to meet the crew and explore the Gun Dog, a patrol ship that's been given the mission to investigate mysterious signals coming from the edges of Jovian space. As a security officer, you'll get to know the team and learn to trust and grow with them, as you're all taken aback when a routine mission goes very wrong. Stories from Seoul is a traditional point-and-click adventure where you explore the Gun Dog and look for items or details to progress and solve puzzles, or talk to crewmates and take in some details that'll help you find out if anyone on board might be an enemy agent. The game seems to be the first step in a series set in the Seoul universe, and if this gorgeous game is any indication, then there's many more amazing stories to tell here. Ooh. I don't know how to pronounce this. In a year that's delivered some amazing Metroidvanias, we have one that's unique and wholly charming. From Nama Takahashi, developer of Ilakid, another great puzzle platformer, you're a bomb caterpillar, which presents some unique challenges in life, but also a few unique solutions. Expect some head-scratching situations where you need to use bombs to move other bombs in order to blow up the obstacles, or use bombs to move yourself around and get into some tight spaces, or even on a platform above. I know it sounds confusing, but once you get into the game, it makes perfect sense. It's a short game that clocks in about 2 to 3 hours, but there are plenty of secrets for you to go hunting for in case you want to achieve that 100%. What we have here is a real gem of a Metroidvania that's getting more attention at least. So check it out, and let me know if I've said the name wrong. Atomfall. While this might be a AA game, I still think we shouldn't forget it because Rebellion really tried something different with Atomfall, instead of just releasing another sniper game. A completely non-linear open-world survival game set in a fictional quarantine zone where you can craft, barter, scavenge, fight or talk your way out of situations. Atomfall's not perfect, but I love how completely open it is. You can head to the final area of the game if you're lucky enough. The game's open-ended and that quests work on word of mouth as you hear about places to check out or people that need to be talked to without the game holding your hand on where to go. Instead, gently nudging you, like that co-worker when you're standing in the office doorway. I spent an hour fighting cultists, only to hear people talk much later about them, and then had many other adventures off the beaten path. Melee combat is very crunchy, you hear the shattering of bone and loud hits of metal or wood against an opponent's skull. It's very satisfying. But after a while, it can be repetitive, since enemies respawn and I just started running past encounters after I had enough gear. Atomfall is a unique and interesting experience that has some flaws, but I hope Rebellion keep trying new things like this. Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo isn't a new YouTube animated original whose memes will drive you insane, but the first Yo-Yo-vania. I unironically love that. A top-down action RPG from Pocket Trap that's very similar in style to all the Legend of Zelda games, but with a yo-yo instead of a stick. The pixel art style is glorious and wonderfully evokes the retro style of older SNES games, while also trying its own spin on the genre. I love how the yo-yo is used for both combat and movement. Use it to swing yourself around, blast off walls, grapple and hit switches to progress. You can master over 10 yo-yo tricks and special moves to play around with. While Mina the Hollower has been delayed, Pipistrello proves that there's a lot of life in top-down adventure game, and promises a real challenge for retro fans and lovers of the genre. Go grab it, and let's pretend it's the 90s again. Caput Mortem. From Wild Arts Games, Caput Mortem is essentially those weird hand simulation games, but imagine those mechanics were used in a genuinely good horror game. Travel through an alchemist tower trying to find out why it's causing the surrounding land to become diseased. I promise that the answers to this mystery will shock you. Don't believe me? Then go play the game. The controls are a unique selling point. Use a controller or a mouse to move your hands separate from your body in order to solve puzzles, use weapons in combat, and sometimes just carry a torch. It's not a long game, but the setting, atmosphere, and involved control scheme will have you hooked the entire playtime. It's a game that'll make you rethink our established control setups and wonder, maybe we aren't done playing around with the idea of what a control setup should be. Please, go play it, and tell them I sent you. It's a great game. Deck of Haunts. Remember Ghostmaster? It was wonderful, if a little janky. Deck of Haunts is similar, except the management aspect is handled by card play. Lure humans into your house in order to scare the crap out of them. All of these theatrics to collect more goo. I mean essence, but really if you scare someone enough, they're bound to leave some goo around. Build the perfect scare factory and once night falls, lure them in to see how great your statistical skills for design are. The building is done with cards. As you progress, you unlock more to help build the perfect scare factory for your guests. If any of you have seen the new VHS film that came out this year, it's the game version of that haunted house segment, minus the Green Witch. I love a good deck builder and scaring people. Just ask my neighbors whenever I leave my blinds open. Actually, maybe don't. Hellclock. A roguelike ARPG from Rogue Snail, the same devs behind the Relic Hunter games. If you know, you know. Taking place in 19th century Brazil, you're traveling through hell to save the soul of your mentor. An ARPG that uses the risk-reward system of a roguelike to ask you to delve deeper into dungeons, to find more loot, and help you level up to learn abilities. Focusing on shorter runs with high rewards, the incredible storybook style and story of revenge and redemption will keep you coming back, while the engaging combat and fun progression will keep you glued to your seat. Action RPGs lately have been kind of multiplayer focused and surprisingly expensive, so to have something that's not only a lot of fun, but tells a genuinely good story is something to be applauded. Tori Saturn. If you haven't experienced the Tori franchise, then sit down and let me educate you. A fast-paced 3D platformer that features a chick who loves running. Not that kind. Pick a level, run through, and have a blast the entire way. Controls are simple. You have a jump button that you press again to hone in, and a ground dash. But the level design will use those two buttons to full effect. And don't miss the speed boost so you can get the best time. If you enjoy great tunes, a wonderful Y2K aesthetic that will either burn out your retinas or make you cry from joy, you'll love Tori Saturn. There isn't much more to it than that, but do you need any more words to explain fun? Peppered, an existential platformer. A game where your failures are just another fork in the road. Peppered has an interesting idea of a platformer that has branching plot lines where every encounter and area has multiple paths ahead. Get to a boss and fail? No problem. That just opens another route for you to take. As an office intern, you decide to save the world instead of continuing your job bringing coffee to people who hate coffee, but always demand it a specific way, and never realize it's not how you make it, but the coffee that's the problem. Sorry for the rant. Enjoy a wide variety of gameplay along with the platforming, as there are sneaking sections, racing away from people on a shopping cart, and much more random stuff. It's a game about the experience and endless possibilities. So enjoy the branching plotline and fun platforming presented with a great 2D art style and fun music. Skin Deep. One of the most overlooked yet incredible genres, immersive sims, has another benchmark title out. Skin Deep from Blendo Games has ideas, and they need to be talked about. You're stuck on a giant airship and pirates have taken over. It's up to you to save the crew, who also happen to be adorable cats, so the stakes are higher than usual. Sneak around and fight your way through the ship as you complete your tasks and try to stay alive. Just be aware that the pirates are not stupid and will find you if you're careless. Also, they can't die. So once again, the stakes have never been higher. There are plenty of ways to sneak around, whether through the all-reliable air vents, walkways, different rooms, or maybe just take a stroll in space if you feel like it. All options get a thumbs up. Skin Deep has great open-ended gameplay with its true gaming sandbox, along with intense combat and a good sense of humor. What's not to love? Unless you're a dog person, I guess. No, I'm Not Human. A daily horror sim game where you spend the day indoors, unable to leave because the sun is expelling deadly rays. More than usual. With this change in the sun, strange creatures called the Visitors have begun showing up out of nowhere, and they look human. At night, people might show up at the door asking to be let in. You need to decide whether you trust they're human and let them stay the night, or make them leave. Every day you can watch the news and find new methods to test people to see if they're actually human. But be careful, if you make a wrong choice, someone else in the house might be killed, or you might shoot an innocent human. You have limited actions during the day, so once the house starts filling up with strangers, it's important to choose wisely how to test them. And make sure you don't keep any wolves locked in with the sheep. Once all that's done, you can end the day with a nice cold beer. Some really unsettling visuals and harsh themes make this a horror game that gets under your skin, and has you end up feeling like the real monster. Snow, Ultimate Freeriding. Snow is exactly what you think at first look, just hitting some slopes. You're going down a procedurally generated mountain, enjoying the ride, taking in the beams and feeling the air rush past. Makes you feel alive. Or you can race against the leaderboards and see how good you are. The minimalist yet colorful design of the world is very appealing and reminds me of Superflight. Stop what you're doing right now and go check out Superflight. It's great, I promise you. Developed by only 2 people at Studio Gauntlet, the minimalist and bare-bones approach to skiing will have you sit back and enjoy the cold atmosphere of the mountain, and maybe put on a sweater, even if it's summer where you are. Go check it out. Hypogea. A short atmospheric 3D platformer where you're trying to escape an underground megastructure. Your automaton is trying to escape, and you use your hooked staff to traverse this massive structure by pole vaulting, swinging, or climbing up walls. On your journey, you'll restore long-dead mechanisms of the facility and meet other inhabitants that also need help in this darkly bleak world. One of the many games on this list that's just all about vibes. The visuals and gameplay feel like a late PS2 release, and I don't know why, but 2025 has been the year of megastructure games for me. From Bleak Faith to Metal Garden, I've just fallen in love with the aesthetic, and I know I'm not alone. So, why not take the plunge and join us? Also, no, I haven't read Blame, but I hear it's amazing. Eclipsium, a first-person horror game where you play as the desperate wanderer in search of her. Eclipsium from Housefire is hard to explain. You have to experience it. The gorgeously off-putting visuals will only stick with you the longer you play. The world twists and turns around you, as the only option is to keep moving forward, even as the space folds in on itself. You'll feel disorientated, and you'll feel less like you're playing a game, and more like you're walking through an expressionist painting. It's a great time. I won't take up too much of your day, but it will stick in your mind for a long time after. Navakula Metis, a surreal puzzle adventure where you explore a town straight out of Cronenberg's worst nightmares. At first sight, this might seem like a horror game, but instead it's a slice of life where you explore a dark and ruined world filled with bizarre characters that don't speak any language you can comprehend. It's such an interesting concept where you're dropped into a world without any guide on what's happening or what you're even supposed to do. Instead, you just explore and parse your surroundings to paint a story in your head. Strange symbols are shown instead of words, and trying to decipher them might just cause you to melt in on yourself like the inhabitants of this world. It offers an experience of alienation that you don't feel in the game often, and for its low price, you can't miss up this experience. One-Eyed Liko, a dark horror game that's based on Slavic folklore and uses a limited color palette that reminds me of Moondown, one of the few perfect horror games I've played. One-Eyed Liko is from Morteshka, the developers of Black Book, another interesting horror game I would recommend. Get ready to explore a strange and unsettling twisted land set in 19th century Russia, all in your endeavor to escape your own fate, which in this case is personified by the titular, One-Eyed Liko, an immersive experience where the world moves along with you and presents visuals and puzzles that will leave an impact on you when it's done. The level design, visuals, and grayscale presentation is fantastic, and it's a great horror for fans who enjoy a more laid-back, atmospheric experience. Mind Diver, a murder mystery where you play a mind diver, an investigator using experimental technology to explore the mind ocean of Lena in order to fix her memory and find the clues needed to solve a missing person's case. Every memory you investigate is missing a key detail, so you need to try and fill in the gaps and reveal more of the past in order to get closer to the truth. The game has a unique visual style using 3D scans of actors that make the exploration of another's mind feel like it just teeters on the edge of familiar and off-putting. Perfect uncanny valley. The developer Indoor Sunglasses created a captivating and thrilling experience that doesn't just take the cheap steps into horror, instead focusing on telling a compelling story that will have you chasing the truth around every corner. If you've enjoyed the investigative gameplay of Obra Dinn, then you'll feel right at home with Mind Diver. Gloomy Eyes, a cozy little horror game that titles itself as self-co-op. Enjoy the adventure as you play two souls who forge a bond and go on a journey together to find the sun. You control both Gloomy, a zombie, and his human companion Nena, and will switch between two characters who each have their own abilities you'll need to use in order to solve environmental puzzles. The visuals are a Tim Burton film come to life as you travel through this enchanting little German expressionist world that's more charming than terrifying. Get ready to experience a heartwarming fairy tale of necromantic love between two worlds that really shouldn't be interacting at all on a moral standpoint. It's a fun little short adventure game that'll leave you feeling cozy and with a little joy in your heart. And in these dark times, don't we all need to spread around some joy? Drop Dushi. If you told me that combining Tetris and a kingdom builder wasn't the ramblings of a madman, but instead a fantastic management game, then I would have laughed. Ha. Drop Dushi is a deck-building puzzle, kingdom builder, and roguelite all dropped into one. Drop blocks in succession to build your city, but remember that positioning is crucial and will determine how much money you acquire and lead to benefits in the next phase. Once your city is built, it's time to send out the troops. Pick a route to make them combine with other units on the way in order to help make sure you defeat enemies without losing too many of your own people or damage your castle in the melee. While it's a strange concept that might seem like a quick one-off, there's a lot of strategy involved. The Tetris portion alone is a lot of fun and could occupy people for hours. Tetris and base building mix and drop Dushi for something wonderfully unique, and the game's still getting more content, and there's no end in sight for this little gem. Get yourself a copy, your mom who enjoys puzzles, and even your neighbor who stares at you through the window, never speaking, but always curious. Maybe he wants a turn. Escape from Duck-Off. While Escape from Tarkov had a disastrous launch on Steam, Duck-Off rules. A survival extraction RPG where you start from nothing in your journey to rise to the top by building your own hideout and upgrading gear to survive this hostile world. A top-down shooter where you pick a map and go out to scavenge as much gear and loot as possible to escape with. Controls are intuitive and easy to master. It's up there with some of the best top-down action games, similar to Synthetic. And with over 50 weapons to find, you'll definitely find one that suits your playstyle. You'll eventually also find blueprints to craft better weapons and gear, and also level up and go through an extensive skill tree to reach the top of the pond. Every raid is a road to getting stronger, and you want to be the strongest duck around. There's over 50 hours of content here to get lost in, and that's nothing to quack at. Mortal Sin. Pure unfiltered fun, the way Mom used to make. Taking me back to a time when roguelites were just about creating impossible builds and seeing the chaotic impact your decisions made on screen, instead of a small incremental creep in power. Pick a class, choose a starting area, and then plan your route through a variety of levels. Find and equip weapons specific to your class to get stronger. You can try to min-max or game the system, but why do that when the game will reward you for just swinging and kicking like a madman? Did I mention this game rules? It does the thing I prefer in roguelite of not drowning you in unlocks from the start, instead parsing them out at a good pace. If the graphical style is a bit unnerving, no worries, you can tone it down to help you feel more at home with whatever you prefer. Combat's brutal, fast, and fun. Chopping multiple enemies into bits never gets old, and as you get better at parrying and using your skills, there's also a combo system that you can turn on prompts for, so you can do maximum damage just by following instructions on screen. Again, it's a lot of fun. A standout game and a must-buy if you find joy in untethered chaos. Did I mention there's a Hong Kong cinema-style pirate class? It has everything. Girls Made Pudding. 2 girls, 1 bike, and an incredible road trip. Take Sumibi and Nakomi on a road trip to a series of towns where people have all mysteriously disappeared. It's not about the destination, but but the journey, and taking in all the beauty along the way. Travel the road, find ingredients, and start cooking to keep the girls fed and their journey going. All your decisions on the road are what keep the story progressing as you enter new towns where they lament for not finding anyone and the loneliness that follows. A relaxing game where the goal isn't in clear sight and you just need to sit back and enjoy the atmosphere while engaging in lovely conversations. Kind of like a real road trip, minus all the stopping to use the bathroom. If this sounds up your alley, then why not pack up and enjoy this pleasant journey? Look Outside, a turn-based horror RPG that kinda came out of nowhere and took everyone by surprise. Taking place in a world where everyone who looks outside is turned into a horrible, monstrous creature with varying degrees of grotesqueness, even a peek can lead to complete madness. It's some disturbing stuff, especially if you have a fear of teeth. You're stuck in your apartment building, and you only have an Xbox 360 and Leisure Suit Larry box office bust. So you definitely need to explore the building to scavenge some supplies and maybe some entertainment. Also, you somehow need to survive this horrible new world for 15 days before the cosmic event ends. Francis Colombe has created a wonderful pixel art style that's both horrifying and kind of charming in places, along with some really unique monster designs. When you're not exploring, you'll have to defend yourself from the monsters in turn-based battles that have you either use a melee or ranged weapon. It might seem a bit simple at first, but it has a lot of depth. The game has gotten so much extra content over the year that it's practically doubled in size, and it's definitely one of the best releases of 2025, and something everyone needs to go play, whether you're a horror or RPG fan. Also, shout out to my in-game rat child. Keep at it, son. Sword of the Sea. Breathtaking and gorgeous. A standout game of the year. Sword of the Sea is an atmospheric surfing game from Giant Squid, the developers of equally gorgeous Abzu and The Pathless. Explore a world where the land is covered in constant undulating waves as you surf across various landscapes from barren deserts, frozen mountains, and many more incredible vistas. All in a quest to find purpose in the many ruins scattered around the world. You use various skateboarding techniques from grinding, flips, spins, and awesome grab tricks to help traverse. It's an oddly confusing mix of exhilarating skating action and meditative movement as you explore this amazing world. I'm always down for a game that has such a focus on just exploration while enjoying the vibes. Let me just sink into my chair and absorb all this atmosphere. The Midnight Walk. Why watch Nightmare Before Christmas when you can play the version we have at home? Okay, that's a bit reductive, but The Midnight Walk from Moonhood does owe a lot of its visual style to the cinematic stylings of Henry Selick. The game's even animated in stop motion, and it looks incredible. You're the burnt one, and I've befriended a lost little lantern called Potboy, who's very cute, so get those tears ready. I know how these games tend to go. Use his light to guide your way through a very dark and terrifying landscape that's occupied by monsters that are less than friendly to you, or Potboy. While the game just follows your standard horror stealth gameplay, don't get caught, move past the monster, repeat. Now while that may be standard, the visuals will have you fully immersed in its captivating atmosphere and marvel at the stunning yet unsettling landscapes. Dino Cop. When dinosaurs were brought back to life, none of them wanted to be a cop, so humans created you. Dino Cop from Pieces Games is a detective mystery we have to investigate the guests of the Cretaceous Hotel to crack a big meaty case. Literally. As a cop, you'll wield a big magnifying glass to help you find clues, a notebook to keep track of them, and your giant dino nose to help sniff the ones that are hidden. Being a dinosaur doesn't mean you lack charm, as you try to convince the guests to disclose the information needed to help you solve this case. Set in an interesting world that asks the question, what if Theodore Rex was actually good? If you're a fan of the Duck Detective games, maybe give it a try and enjoy this charming and fun world. Gnomes. Does anyone even have a lawn gnome anymore? Who can afford a home even? Gnomes is a tower defense game from Dystopian that asks the age-old question, how good is a gnome at wielding a knife? Build, farm, and set up your defenses, but be careful. The goblins are coming, and they don't play fair. So it's important to make sure you learn how to manipulate the environment to grow your economy as quickly as possible, and also obstruct their route to your home. You can pick from a variety of guilds to play as, all offering different strategies, as your chosen gnome starts with a different relic and have their own strengths and weaknesses. There are multiple distinct biomes to play in, all presenting different hazards, resources, and even map-specific enemies. There's a lot of content to play around with here, and pixel graphics help elevate a game that's about pure chaos, as you take out goblins in enough numbers to constitute war crimes. Gnomes is the perfect gnome-like, and will keep you invested for hours. Machina, a beautiful and charming little stop-motion digging adventure from the same developers of Judoro. As Machina, you're digging down to find materials to help fix up your robot community and foster a culture of caring for each other. Before going down, you can use your radar to scope out the map and find objects of interest as you drill down to find the rare materials. You can also find other robots, trinkets, and treasures, though isn't the real treasure the friends we find along the way? In the dirt? In town, you can talk to the locals, upgrade your equipment, and just decorate the surroundings to make the town more palatable for the people, robots. The stop-motion style of animation and handmade look of the world and characters are very charming, and it elevates the experience further and pushes the themes about finding the beauty in discarded objects. It's really heartwarming and a lot of fun to play. Artist's impact. You play Akane in a future apocalyptic world where AI and humans live together. Whether in peace is up for debate. The game has a gorgeous mix of pixel graphics and hand-drawn art that makes the game look like a living manga or comic book. Get ready to enjoy a story that's both incredibly heartfelt and lighthearted. Combat is a streamlined turn-based system that offers up a good challenge for seasoned veterans, as you improve Akane's strength through training and also upgrade your weapons to even the playing field against some very tough bosses. I really can't get over how great the hand-drawn art and fluid animations mix together, the way panels come into the screen and break apart in a scene. It's very novel. Graphic novel. Artist impact is from Gentle Moss, a solo developer who's been working on this title for a few years, and all the love and effort is shown on screen. Free Ride. A self-described oddball RPG where you board a train to the spirit world and meet all kinds of interesting characters, all dealing with personal problems. It's kind of similar to Spiritfarer, but if you had access to telekinetic abilities. These abilities are useful for solving puzzles, taking on demons, or just starting fights with strangers. The choices are all yours, because the game has multiple paths for you to take. In the background, the game is actually a personality test, as every choice you make and route you take has the game judge and define you, like your parents when they meet your friends. The story reacts to your subconscious and takes notes of how you play and the choices you make, so you only see about a third of the full story in a playthrough. So going again is recommended. If you want to try something different and also see how you do in a personality test, give Free Ride from Flighty Felon Games a go. Easy Delivery Company. A relaxing driving game where the sound of snow falling and wind blowing will have you feeling so chilled out, you might just droop those eyes closed. Oh crap, that's a ramp. Earn a living by delivering packages and then spend some time with the locals to get to know the town better. Take your time delivering the packages or put the pedal to the metal and get there in record time. Which no one is keeping track of, mind you. Enjoy a relaxing time in town as you take in the sights and just enjoy the atmosphere. The gameplay loop is very engaging and will put you in a trance as you become the premier Tundra delivery driver. The vibes of this game are just on point, as you enjoy the rustling wind and falling snow while driving your truck on loose ground. What doesn't sound appealing about this? Nightling. From developer Twirlbound, Nightling has you play a knight with a very versatile shield. You're a knightling who's on a quest to find your missing mentor, Sir Lionstone. Equipped with your missing master shield, you can use it in combat to block attacks or just turn it around to beat enemies down, because it's really big. It's an open world action platformer, so expect lots of jumping or climbing various structures across the map. There are also jump pads and other methods of traversal that keep the platforming from not becoming stale. You can also use this shield for gliding, sledding, surfing, and many more uses. I said it was versatile. For fans of action-adventure games and platformers, the Nightling really looks like they used every cent of their budget to create a gorgeous world and made sure it was fun to move around in. Something Ubisoft wishes they could get right. Zexion. As the space warrior Natu, travel to the planet known only as Cypher X-72 in search of the mysterious Zexion to save their homeworld Orn from destruction. In a genre dominated this year by Silksong, there was still a lot of Metroidvanias that were released, and Zexion from Gallant Leaf is interesting. Presented in beautiful 8-bit pixel glory, combat uses a twin-stick control scheme, along with some great unlockable weapons and movement options, help elevate this past being a throwback Metroidvania. Along with the great pixel art, enemy and level design, the music's also fantastic. Zexion is challenging and does not hold your hand, so expect some tough-as-nails gameplay with a rewarding degree of exploration to make you come back and try again. And if you finish the game, there's a built-in randomizer if you plan on avoiding your family for an extended time. Lone Star. Finally a follow-up to FTL we've all been craving. Lone Star is a spaceship roguelike deck builder from developer Maftide, and if their name's any clue, this game is going to have you crunching numbers. You're a bounty hunter, so pick your pilot, ship, and get ready to hunt down criminals all across the galaxy. Engage enemies in a shockwave battle, where the one with the highest numbers wins. Capturing your bounty will give you vacation time that leads to interesting encounters, events that force you to take a choice, or maybe you just pick up some good loot to enhance your ship. For those expecting something a bit more like FTL, I'm sad to say this is a bit more straightforward than that masterpiece, but that does not take away from it being a fun spaceship roguelite that will help you live out your bounty hunting fantasies as you become this world's Boba Fett. But not the old one. Butcher's Creek. Short, horrifying, and made by Dave Szymanski. Those are the only descriptions you need in order to sell this. Dave Szymanski is most famous for creating the impossibly brilliant Dusk, and infamous for Chop Goblins. I really like that game. No joke. Butcher's Creek feels perfectly like an homage to Condemned and the Manhunt series, both famous for a reason. Find a weapon and start hitting the cultists till you leave nothing but a thick paste where their faces used to be. You'll find yourself trapped in underground basements and buildings that will make your skin itch, and call up your doctor to check if you're caught up on your tetanus shots. As with his previous games, it's all about the atmosphere and sound design, and a horror game without those will not fly in this house, but Butcher's Creek delivers. Check it out for a great gory time. Just be aware, the game's pretty short, so maybe see about getting it on sale if you're hesitant, and then check out his entire library of games you might not have tried. Tell Dave I sent you. He doesn't know me, but he did once say hi. That was nice. Tyrant's Realm. Not the first stab at making a roguelite Souls-like, but it definitely leaves an impression with its PS1 aesthetic. Tyrant's Realm comes from Team Tyrant. Their hours must be murder. You're tasked with ending the reign of a tyrant that's just not a very nice person, and that requires a ton of weapons, gear, and constantly dying. Combat is very typical of a Souls-like. You'll either find a shield to circle around before attacks, or learn the proper way to parry and take down enemies faster. Everyone is unique, as the biome changes every time you respawn, but make sure you take some luck with you when it's time to fight the bosses. They can be murder. Like everything else in this game, honestly. Not that long of a roguelike, but it's still getting updates and content. It just got a DLC, so expect to have a lot of fun with it over a dedicated weekend. Xenopurge. Take charge of a squad by issuing them orders without taking direct control, much like Duskers, one of the most underrated strategy games. It's an auto-battler where you command an elite squad with one goal, bug hunting. Recruit members for your squad, give them the tools to take on the threat, and send them out. To live long, unchallenged lives, or get ripped apart. It depends on your management skills. I love this minimalist style in a horror game where it allows your imagination to run wild. Imagine the scene from Alien with a motion tracker. Except, that's the whole game. You give them a set of instructions, plan their route, and watch the action play out. But be ready to respond and shout out more orders if things go south. It was released in early access and left it in the same year, which I believe is some kind of a record. So let's give the developer Traptix a medal for all that hard work. It shows. Sophia in Exchange for Lies. The love child of her story in Five Nights at Freddy's, you're Philip, a psychiatrist tasked with interrogating Sophia, a girl with multiple personalities who's also a suspect in the murder of a presidential candidate. Talk to her, unlock keywords, ask the right questions, and try to find the truth of what happened. Watch her through multiple cameras in this immersive experience as you try to dive into the mind of Sophia, and keep track of her and look for the giveaways which personality is currently dominant. Sophia's heart rate will increase the more pressure you put on her, and a personality will emerge. Which one is up to you to find out, and also what they're hiding. There's replay value with multiple endings, and different paths you can take the conversation down. An interesting investigation game that will leave you guessing and digging to find the truth. Cyberknights Flashpoint. Sometimes a game comes out that just seems like it should be marked AAA on the amount of content alone. Cyberknights comes from the Treze brothers, who have a long history of tactical RPGs, and they've peaked with their latest. For those wanting a deep story, extensive talent trees, very in-depth, expansive gridless turn-based combat, and the bright lights of a cyberpunk city all in one package, then I've got a game for you. Cyberknights Flashpoint is all about doing heists, gathering your team, loading up on weapons, gear, and a hacker, because every good heist needs one. You'll sit down for a few hours to just build the perfect squad in order to walk out with the most amount of cash. Like I said, there's a lot of content here for turn-based strategy fans, and once you pick this up, you'll be busy until we actually hit the future year of 2077. Urban Myth Dissolution Center. A visual novel puzzle game from Hakababunko, showcasing an amazingly well-crafted pixel art style and an incredible story. join forces with the psychic director of the Urban Myth Dissolution Center and solve a variety of cases involving cursed relics, rental properties with shady histories, and dimensional anomalies. So, not your average desk job. You'll go on an episodic journey to tackle various urban myths as you take on cases, and as a zombie you have to do the detective legwork by collecting evidence and going through social media posts to unravel the truth. Amazing and vibrant pixel art make this horror visual novel a treat to watch, let alone play, and for the various cases will keep you invested and on the edge of your seat as you try to unravel them. For fans of detective anime and scary Japanese entities. Kingdom of Night. Some of us might be a bit tired of 80s nostalgia, but everyone has time for a good action RPG. Kingdom of Night is about hunting down demons in a small town during the height of neon fashion and Cold War era terror. Pick one of 5 different classes from Barbarian, Knight, Sorcerer, and Necromancer. All very memorable 80s film characters. I remember the Sorcerer in Breakfast Club. And fill out your skill tree as you level up and shape your character however you want. And mix and match various branches to make a unique build suitable for demon slaying. Like any good action RPG, there's a ton of gear to pick up and equip. Keep an eye out for those high tier stat rolls and deck out your character in the best leg warmers, jean jackets, power suits, and the most garish of neon colored jackets. So bright, it makes the sun jealous. If you have a friend, then maybe get them to join in co-op as you spend the night slaying demons while listening to your worn-out tape of Iron Maiden. Beyond Citadel. One of the games included in the Waifus with Raifus pack on Steam, and something of a gun nut's dream. Beyond Citadel from Duo Kuramori is the sequel to The Citadel, and is all about hot anime girls and guns. Someone just stopped the video to go buy it, and good on you. Beyond Citadel's selling point is realistic gunplay, with weapons sometimes requiring more than one key press to properly reload or check your mag. And there are a wide variety of weapons, from the more futuristic to just classic assault rifles, all of them feeling properly punchy and require different strategy to use. You'll travel to various levels across multiple acts as you take on a host of terrible enemies, both humanoid and some much more sinister. While the game might look a bit drab, the combat and sheer variety of weapons will satisfy any FPS fan. Also, there's some extra assets you might enjoy. The Seance of Blake Manor. Halloween, 1897. A group of mystics in Ireland are planning a seance, but 48 hours before it's scheduled, Evelyn Dean, one of the mystics, has gone missing. As Detective Declan Ward, you have to interview and interrogate an eclectic group of suspects to learn their motives and unearth any secrets they might be hiding. But talking isn't enough. You also have to stalk the halls of Blake Manor and look for environmental clues and solve puzzles to reach forbidden areas of the hotel. Once you have enough evidence and motivations locked down in your journal, then get ready to confront some of the guests to surprising consequences. A compelling mystery presented in a comic book style that takes some inspiration from the works of Mike Mignola. Get yourself some Irish coffee, a comfortable seat, and spend the night solving a compelling mystery that might make it harder to sleep after. Dead Wells, The Devil Fragment. A game that's just balls to the wall action and goofing off. Hack, slash, parry, and dodge your foes, and if that fails, just pull out a gun and take them out. There really is no limit to how much you can screw around thanks to the devs of Echo 7 Project. You can launch enemies into the air and juggle them with relentless attacks, and believe me, you'll have plenty of ways to attack. Find a ton of weapons and upgrades to use from your classic axes, swords, shotgun, or even a Simon Belmont style whip. You'll take on plenty of bosses that need to be parried and taken out JoJo style. A difficult but fun RPG that does something unique with the genre, while also showcasing wild visuals that stand out for just being outrageously garish. I love it. Did I mention the battles on horseback? Sono Kuni, a hip-hop close combat action game where one hit means death, and every room you enter is a split-second decision from ending your run. Sono Kuni is weird, but a lot of fun. As Takeru, a lone assassin who's trying to protect her people from being assimilated by a technologically advanced race of creatures, you'll take on missions where you enter rooms filled with enemies that each have various attacks, and all you have is a kick, parry, and a skill for slowing down time. Use all those techniques as quickly and efficiently as possible, because you'll die as just as quick, and a lot. Every room is a puzzle that needs to be solved, and it'll take a few tries to get used to dealing with the variety of enemies and their different attacks. While it shares some DNA with Hotline Miami, the style and focus on close combat make the game able to stand on its own feet. Also, did I mention the soundtrack? It's fantastic, and once that beat gets stuck in your head, you'll find yourself flowing with it and feel like a master. Great game and a fantastic challenge. Nubby's Number Factory. This isn't the first Plinko roguelike, but it is the most eye-catching. I love the Windows 95 visuals and big 3D render graphics. It takes me back to when Windows didn't keep asking me to update every few hours. And also, worked? You drop the ball and try to hit as many numbers on the way down, all in the service to make your quota, or the sun will blow up. As you progress, you'll find power-ups to help out and play on more complicated boards down the line. Not the most complicated of setups and gameplay, but why not just play a game that's about dropping your balls and having fun? Great for playing while watching a movie or a YouTube video, like mine. Hey, if you like indies, why not subscribe and keep your eyes posted for more great games to come? You didn't expect me to put another call to action at the end, did you? Kabuto Park, from Doot and Zaku, is a short little beetle collecting game where you only catch the best beetles to become the ultimate summer beetle champion. You can also catch other insects like butterflies, bees, and dragonflies, more than 40 species to collect and keep in your shoebox under the bed. After all that fun, set up your beetle squad to challenge other kids. Every beetle in your squad adds a card ability to help out in battles. But if you're struggling, then try leveling up your bugs with some candies until you have the perfect squad of big bad Beetleborgs. If you get that, you get it. A short but sweet experience that perfectly captures the joy of summertime with friends and the fun a child experiences immersing themselves in entomology. Guns of Fury. This is the game I wish Mercenary Kings was, and a lot more. We finally have a Metal Slug style Metroidvania, thanks to the fine people at Gelato Games. Play Vincent Fury, a man on a mission, all alone behind enemy territory, but not outgunned, exploring a vast interconnected map to find new weapons, items, and abilities to build them up in order to take down the paid employees of Eastern Industries. When things get a little too easy, you can take on one of the bosses that presents a good challenge for your skills, and if things get a bit too complicated, take control of a variety of mechs to mow down everyone in sight. While the visuals are not as detailed as Metal Slug, the 16-bit pixel art does a wonderful job paying homage to that series in some of the older Contra games. Along with the graphics, the OST is also a banger. Another fantastic Metroidvania in what is likely to be the greatest year for the genre. Grab an old school controller and get ready to have a great time. Ambrosia Sky, an immersive sim from Soft Rains, and one of the most interesting games I've played in a while. A mixture of prey and power wash simulator. Ambrosia Sky Act 1. According to the devs, this is the first in a free act structure, and I do hope that pans out. You arrive at a colony that's overrun by a vibrant alien ecosystem that consists of various fungi that will either burn, electrocute, or trap you. Luckily, you're equipped with a water gun, which you can use to clean up the fungi and then harvest their fruit to upgrade your suit or build better gear like an electrical foam to help you reroute wires. Traversal is important. As you try to avoid the fungus, you can either use your grappling hook or float around them in zero-G. Experience the story of a scientist returning to a colony she ran from, and then dealing with the death of everyone she knew. It's very somber and heartfelt, all in thanks to some well-written chat logs and a consistently interesting inner monologue. An immersive sim that has no combat, but instead unique puzzle solving and a great story make this an interesting and standout title for 2025. Phew, 100 games and not a single dud. I hope you're resting that overworked wrist from clicking the wishlist button so much. This was a massive project and it took much longer than I expected to finish. And I'm properly exhausted, but so grateful if you made it this far. If thanks to this video you bought any of these titles, I genuinely hope you enjoyed them. I've gotten so many great messages from people picking up titles they heard about from my videos, and that's always been my mission statement. Talk about cool games and convince people to try them. Before I get too sentimental, let me head off. I wish you a great time gaming, and reminder, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.